Shalom, first and foremost, like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone, who are teaching this truth and sincerity, and a shout out to Yakim that's out there on four corners of the earth proclaiming this truth. Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Bracha them. So, another brother put this video up. I believe this is GMS, or not GMS, but Men of Valor, I believe California South. Something like that. Slovak, let me get it. Slovak, Men of Valor 12, Southside. That's the name of the channel that I'm getting this from. This brother puts up a lot of videos. I get, I get the news mostly from Men of Valor 12 South Front, or Southwest. And, of course, I get it from the brother in South Carolina, you know, from that camp as well. You know, get a lot of articles and just, you know, wow, you know, it doesn't take long to be able to go a bit longer, but man, the videos speak for themselves, man. As we know that we're about to enter into the Passover, and we're seeing a lot of things befall Babylon, especially these recent weather storms, but also dealing with a retail apocalypse, because now, you know, as they call it, the global financial collapse. Yeah, retail apocalypse. I mean, it's everywhere.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to his duty. How Bashim, how Shah Bashim, how Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone and Rule Well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise in the gospel abroad. Living up the standard of how Bashim, how Shah, wherever it may be. This is just a update on the economic update on the store closings in Babylon the Great, which we've been saying that Babylon the Great is pretty much is falling. All right, it's failing, and then you can see it in the commerce, you can see it in the retail market, you can see it in the housing markets, etc. And sooner or later, it's just going to be a inevitable fall. Okay, so it says here, Payless, Gymboree, and Victoria's Secret are just some of the brands closing in 2019. All right, so this is why you have all these liquidation sales, like 50% off. You go to JCPenney's, or, you know, you walk in the malls and so forth, you see them with 60% off, 90% off, you know. So now is the time, you know, to get goods. Though, you know, it's not going to amount to anything during Jacob's trouble. But to sustain you, you know, brothers is limited on clothing, whatever. Now is the time to catch themselves, you know, for brothers that's in to know. But for the masses of you people, you're finished, man, all right? And there's no hope for the two-thirds. There's no hope for you so-called white people, you red Hebrew Edomites, etc. You're finished, all right? So it says the discount shoe retailer Payless Shoe Source, it says here, is set to close all of its stores when it files for bankruptcy later this month. And it says this year is already on track to being one of the big ones for store closings. It says based on our figures from Global Markets Research, from Coresight Research, bankruptcy filings, and company earning reports, more than 6,300 stores are already slated to be shuttered. Wow, that's a lot of stores, man. And they already got a thing that they want to close a third of the shopping malls in the country. You know, I remember when I was coming up, it was this place in Chicago on 95th and Western. It was called Evergreen Plaza, and that was like the dope spot in town. You know, if you was from the south side, had a movie theater, you know, they had it was a mall basically. They had all the stores in there, the Foot Lockers, the Champs, etc. I used to work up there when I was a senior in high school, you know, just to keep a little money in my pocket, and business was good, you know. But after the year 2004, 2005, 6, 7, 8, it started declining until they decided to tear it down. I believe they tore the plaza down like in I want to say they tore it down, I think, like 2011, 2012. It's been a minute, but basically, man, that place was up and running for a long time. And even then, over the years, while they was having mass liquidation sales, you were able to get things for cheap prices, you know. But this to show you that the Lord is shattering the pride of the so-called white man. Because the only thing you people like to do is shop, be whores and sluts, be wicked, commit adultery, smoke weed. Like I said earlier in the video, you're all in that bread and mirth and bread and circus spirit, which is being shut down. It says some stores will be closed by the end of March, with other locations staying open through the end of May, the company said. But in 2018, Coresight tracked more than 5,528 closings, which include all Toys R Us locations, plus hundreds of Mattress Firm stores, Kmart's, and Sears locations, and Brookstone's remaining mall stores. But Coresight said 2017 marked the record year for closing, with 8,139 shuttered stores, and this includes an earlier round of Payless closings and the entire H.H. Gregg electronics and appliance chain and hundreds of Sears and Kmart stores. Alright, so hey man, Yahweh Shem Yahushua is delivering a strategic blow to Babylon, and this is just of many woes to come, because outside of the stores, then comes the housing market, then comes the jobs, the state governments, the federal government, the city governments, the principalities, etc. It don't just stop here. All right, because the elites, they're closing up shop. They're liquidating America, and they're getting ready to pack up shop because they know that the New World Order is coming to the West, and they know that they're trying to go for a way of how can I say it? Totalitarian rule, which means a sinister or tyrannical government. All right, so let's go from here to the book of 2nd Ezra 14th chapter. I'm going to start like verses, get a couple of precepts in here, because this is a heavy chapter. Because the birth of Babylon is ceasing, as we've been warning the people. The Lord sets his prophets up to go out and tell the people what's going to happen before it happens. Okay? So, matter of fact, let's go to 2nd Ezra 14, and I'm going to start it, give me a moment. I'm just trying to find some scriptures. Because you got to understand that the Most High revealed to Moses the signs of the end as well. When he went into the chariot and the Lord gave him the revelation, he showed him the end and he showed him the beginning. That's how you had the first 5 books of Moses to be written, because he wasn't there as Moses in the beginning of creation. No, he was there in spirit as a prophet. The prophet who is Moshe, or Moses, which means to draw forth. He wasn't allegedly on that scene at the time, so how did he get the understanding? The Lord gave it to him. All right, so this is 2nd Ezra 14, and I'm gonna start at 5. It says, and told him many wondrous things, and showed him the secrets of the times and the end. We're in the end right now, so this is why the prophets are out prophesying against America, letting the people know that Yahweh Shem Yahushua is getting ready to make his stand on the earth. All right, but going down verses 14, it says, let go from thee mortal thoughts and cast away the burdens of men, and put off now the weak nature, because now we're coming in a time that we're getting ready to hit the ground running. Everything you've practiced is just like a fighter. You train 6 weeks to 12 weeks to gear up for that pivotal match. It's the same thing. Think of these shows, the fast and the praying, the having faith. Ultimately, we're in training right now. Like I said, we were still recruits in training. We ain't got the gold yet, the medals yet. Now we got to hit the ground running, and this is what he told them. Put off now the weak nature, because when they shut America down, food is going to be very scarce out here. All right, shelter, water. You got to totally be dependent and susceptible to the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. That's going to be the guide in that day. Just like when Israel was in the wilderness, it was the pillar of fire. The cloak and the cloud by day, and a pillar of fire by night. That's how it's going to be in the times of Jacob's trouble. Because you're going to have blackouts in America, man. It's going to be to the point it's going to be pitch black on the streets. You know what I'm saying? And you got to use the spirit of the Lord to guide you through. And we're coming into these times. And it says here, and to set the times that are most heavy unto thee, which is now, haste thee to flee from these times. For yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen should be done hereafter. That's right, man. And talking about the times we're living in now, because going into the time of the Romans and the Masada, when it was ransacked by Titus and Vespasian and Domitian and Caesar, that was a bad time for Israel. But this time is finna top that time 10 times over. All right, that's why it says, for yet greater evils than those that which have seen shall happen should be done hereafter. For look how much the world should be weaker through age. Right, because the so-called white man, he's depleting the earth of his ecosystem. He's playing with the weather. He's genetically modifying the organisms and so forth. And your food, the water's all destroyed. You got all types of different chemicals in the water. You got BPA. You got anatophine or something like that. Basically, what it does is it's basically a chemical that they put in certain foods and beverages to make men more feminized, man. This is why they pumping that homosexual agenda so hard. All right, dopamine, all these other different chemicals and so forth. It gets in the man's blood and it becomes toxic, and it turns the testosterone into estrogen, which estrogen is a woman's type of hormone. That's why a lot of these men are effeminate. You see them with dreadlocks, etc., skinny jeans, acting all effeminate. They getting offended at every goddamn thing you look at them. They want to fight you. That's all a product of this damn devil, man. All right, and it says here, so much more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein. For the time is fled far away, and leasing is hard in hand. For now haste the vision to come, which thou hast seen. All right, and this is why we hasten a day. This is why we ask Yahweh Shai to bring the speeding of the society down, because it's gonna get bad out here, man. It's gonna get bad out here for brothers, you know. But ultimately, we got the spirit of faith. We got the spirit of Yahweh Shai that's supping with us. This is why we're not fearing these things to come. But nonetheless, the average 2/3, hey man, you can forget about it, man. Because your mind and your focus and your spirit is set in Babylon. You have no hope on life after death, so to speak. All right? You have no hope in life after America. This is why you people strive so hard to be all you can be in America. Because, hey, you want to do everything before you die. Because you don't believe in a better place. You don't believe in a kingdom of heaven being set up on the earth. And this is why a lot of you going to bug the hell out. Like you got this whole thing with this Joy Morgan character. Like these niggas are bugging out like Judah Mack, that clown, all right? You a clown, man, all right? And the spirit of the Lord ain't dealing with you, Judah Mack. All right? You a clown, man, all right? And Yahweh Shai gonna visit you real soon, nigga. You niggas in Israel making a big outcry about some damn Joy Morgan. There's gonna be a billion more fucking cases like Joy Morgan when Jacob's trouble come. So if you can't handle the fact that all hell is breaking loose or getting ready to break loose, and something as small as a woman getting put to death by another wicked ass nigga or wicked organization, how the hell you Jakes gonna stand in a hard day? This is why Ezekiel 13 apply to you Jakes, man. Mainly Nate, because the scriptures say he have not went into the gaps nor build up the house of Israel, for the hedge to stand in the day of trouble, man. So you dudes ain't build up. You ain't build up to deal with what's gonna come upon the earth. You niggas are playing games. It's an Israelite party. You got these rap niggas out here trying to refurbish their rap career because they didn't make it in the world. So they come in Israel trying to use the truth as a platform to be wicked, man. The Lord ain't dealing with that rap shit. The Lord ain't dealing with no Israelite party, man. We in a time of trouble. Jacob's trouble is pretty much started. The hell you think Psalms 83 is about? This is why you clowns out there, you ain't gonna make it, man. And we don't care about you, Mick. We don't want you around us when it go down, man. Because if the Lord give us the spirit, hey, we gonna come see all you niggas. Thus says Yahweh Shai, man. So good that America is collapsing financially, because it's gonna wake you niggas up. And you're gonna bug out because you don't prophesy against this place. You don't think about Jacob's trouble. We talk about that here in GMS, man. We've been built up to handle these scriptures, unlike you cats. So this is the book of Isaiah 24, and I'm going to start at 3. It says, and the land should be utterly empty and utterly spoiled. And we're seeing that right now. We're having a breakdown in society. They're pushing an RFID chip, man. Sooner or later, it's going to be mandated, whether you believe that or not. It says, for Yahweh have spoken his word. He's spoken it through the prophets. The men you see out there prophesying on the highways and the hedges week in and week out, pumping out shows around the clock. Exclusively starting with GMS, man. And we don't give a damn who don't like how we say that. If you don't like the fact that the Lord chose GMS to be the prophets of the Lord, then oh fucking well. Go die somewhere. We don't give a fuck, man. We don't care. Because you niggas choose to play games with the Lord's word. We take this thing serious. And it says, in the earth mourneth and fadeth away. And the world language and faded away. And the holy people of the earth do language, man. Starting from you women, you dreadhead niggas out there, you niggas in the truth, which the Lord is going to start jacking you up first, man. All you guys in Israel, it's an Israelite party. GMS is bums and this and this. You the proud nigga, and now for you going to be languishing in that day. You going to be in turmoil. You're going to be in dire straits. You're going to be suffering from the famine and from the curse. You're going to be suffering from the wild beast and the four-sword judgment, man. You're going to be in FEMA camps, getting beheaded, getting tortured, and we going to watch and we going to praise Yahweh Shai when he start fucking you niggas up, man. Because you niggas are a bunch of You're a bunch of bullshit artists, man. You're a bunch of bullshit artists. You don't take this Israelite thing serious. You came in here to find fame because you niggas, you couldn't get it in the world. You come into the truth and you play games, man. This ain't about no fucking fad club. This truth is not a motherfucking fad, man. Oh, let's see how many women we can pick up by rapping. Nigga, fuck you niggas, man. And it says, therefore, the earth is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covering. And this is hand in hand with you fucking red Hebrew Edomites, which you ain't nothing but a race of goddamn devils, man. And 2/3 of these niggas, they vouch for your wickedness. The so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American coon is the gatekeeper to your bullshit, man. Because we got to go through niggas to get your ass, man. To curse you out, we got to go through a swarm of niggas. So the hell with you niggas too, man. And if you don't like the fact that I'm using quote-unquote or alleged profanity, then get the fuck off my page, man. Go fucking jump off a bridge somewhere, man. We don't give a fuck about how you feel. This is my fucking page. I say what the fuck I want to say on my page according to the scriptures. If you don't like it, then bitch, get over it, man. May the Lord destroy your wicked ass in due time. Come on a page telling us how the fuck we can speak. This is our platform. This is Yahweh Shemi. How was shot church, man? You ain't no part of it. Get the fuck out of here. And therefore have the curse devoured the earth, which is these fucking crackers, all right? And they have dwelled therein and are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned and few are left. And the curse too is those chariots. Because it tells you in Zechariah, the 5th chapter, this is the curse that go forth through all the earth, all right? And it says, and the new wine mourneth in a vine language, and all the merry-hearted do sigh, all right? So when this place go down, when you ain't got fucking Foot Locker no more, you niggas can't go get your J's, you know what I'm saying? And I like wearing J's, but it ain't the end of the world, fuck it, you know what I'm saying? But you got niggas out there that get pissed off because they can't go get the new Kyries, man. I remember a couple years back, I was going to get some shoes, man. And this stupid ass simp, dreadhead, bum, low life nigga gonna say, yeah, you know, this what it's all about. You know, I looked at him. I said, man, bro, back in my spirit, man. I said, I wish I had a fucking sword. But I'd take this sword and shove it down your fucking throat for saying something like that. It's just a goddamn pair of shoes, man. Yeah, I like shoes like the next man. But come on, man. You niggas ain't got shit to live for. That's all you live for is bullshit. Oh, yeah, you know, it's all about it. Nigga cut me in line. I'm going to jail today. Just a simple bonehead nigga. A coon-ass nigga. Nigga's probably dead by now. Good for him. And it says that the mirth of the tabret ceaseth, and the noise of them that rejoiceth in it, and the joy of the harp ceases. Because when your clubs and shit be shut the fuck down, when you can't go to fucking happy hour every weekend, and you can't go to the juke joint or the juke house, whatever the fuck it is you do, to be wicked and commit adultery, a lot of you niggas out there gonna be upset, man. When you can't go, you know, get your weave and hair weave, and when a woman can't go to the club and shake her little funky ass, she gonna be mad at that. When they shut down this social, and that's what I'm waiting on. I'm waiting on them to shut down this fucking Facebook, Instagram, how the hell it is, Instagram, whatever social media. I can't wait till they shut this shit down. And I want to see you people, because I remember last year when they had a 2-hour outage on the YouTube. And they shut down Instagrams and stuff too. I think prior to that, a lot of these people were bugging the fuck out, man. People was literally making videos complaining. Like, people do not know what to do if you take away their little trinkets, their little phones. You take away these phones and internets, man. These people will go batshit crazy. If you want to see a nigga jump over a wall and fight and dance, take away his fucking cell phone. Take away his iPhone. Take away his social media. Take away. You got to take shit away from Jake for them to wake the hell up. You know? But anyway, it says here, when you think about 2018, about 75% of the square footage are now stored Sears, Kmart, and Toys R Us in Bonton. But 9 weeks into this year, 30 million square feet of closings have already been announced. CoStar data shows, and I'm going to tell you something too. A lot of these stores that they close in, these department stores, they're going to be FEMA camps. They're going to be local FEMA camps. Think about 30 million miles, 30 million square feet. You can house over 30, 40,000 people in there alone. Probably more than that. Them stores can hold a lot of people. They can occupy a lot of people. So they're not going to tear the building down, but they're going to be FEMA camps. We've always said that these department stores, these little breaded circuit stadiums like the football stadiums, the baseball stadiums, the basketball coliseums and so forth, these old abandoned factories, these warehouses, these apartment complexes, these sheds, they're going to be FEMA camps, man. Shit, where I work at, if you look at it, it look like some World War II shit, man. They got a Kwanzaa hut right here. It look like some shit they used back in World War II. It's nothing but a big FEMA camp. They got the barbed wire fencing. It's state property. No. But it says these retailers that may certainly lead to a higher number of closings overall, said, but in terms of square footage of the retail market, they may not move the needle that much. Family Dollar says Dollar Tree will shutter and change the name of its 100 Family Dollar stores. So basically, Dollar Tree bought out Family Dollar, which Family Dollar is taking losses too. But it says the closings announced closures over may carry over into 2020, which was the case with several closures announced in 2018. Lowe's, Sears, and Kmart. The Gap announced February 28th, and the Gap been around since I was a kid, before I was born. You know, my father used to always take me to the shop as a kid, and they got some good clothes there, man. But can't nobody afford the shit. You know, but it says it will roughly close 230 stores over 2 years. Because I remember, man, about, at the beginning of the year, man, we went over there to the Gap, man, and we got a fucking $40 hoodie for $14, man. You know, so, hey, we living in them times. Payless Shoe Source, 2,589, includes 248 Canada locations and 114 smaller format stores and Shopko hometown locations. Gymboree, crazy, 748. Charlotte Russe, 500 stores will close by April. And the company confirmed March 6th, but 94 stores from earlier wave of closing will shutter first. Accenture Retail, 400. Family Dollar, 390. And dollar stores always make good business, to show you that this is systematically programmed. Shopko, 251. GNC, 233. Gap, 230 stores in the next 2 years. Tesla, more than 200 locations worldwide. 80 in the U.S. Foot Locker, 165 total, include closing outside of U.S. That make you niggas mad right there. Destination Maternity, 117. Chico's, 83. Sears, 72. Victoria's Secret, 53. So you women can't be hoes and sluts no more, buying that shit just to take pictures of it and put it online. It says Vera Bradley, Kmart, 48. JCPenney, 27. Henry Bendel, 23. Southeastern Grocers, 22. Elf Beauty, 22. Saks off 5th, 20. Lowe's, 20. Macy's, 8. Target, 6. Damn, Targets are closing. J. Crew's, 5. Kohl's, 4. Nordstrom, 3. Whole Foods, 1. Calvin Klein, 1. Pottery Barn, 1. Williams Sonderson, 1. Charlotte Russe, all stores closing, starting liquidation. So you women that like your little shopping bullshit, hey, now's the time to hit that place up. And you notice they ain't really mention Walmart because they in league. Walmart is in league with the United States government to set up internment camps. And the Walmarts that they do close, they ain't telling you about it. Okay? But it says here, the mirth of the tabret ceaseth, and the joys of them that rejoiceth in it, and the joy of the harp ceaseth. And they should not drink wine with the song, but strong drink should be bitter unto them that drink it. And the city of confusion is broken down, and every house is shut up, that no man may come in. That's right, because your stores are going to be broken down, your neighborhoods are going to be derelict and desolate, troops are going to circumvent the streets, and there's a crying for wine in the streets, and all the joy is darkened, and the mirth of the land is gone. That's right. So there you go, man. The Lord is bringing his wicked ass society down, finally. You know, and next is going to be these wicked ass fucking courthouses, man. The Lord just need to just destroy them motherfuckers, man. Because them courts, man, if I sit in a court hearing, man, that's the wickedest shit I've ever been in, man. That's wicked. And these people really think that they really think that they're above you. The way these Edomites operate in these kangaroo courts, they really are about pressing Jake. All right. So this is the book of Ecclesiastes 12. And I'm going to start at 3. It says, in the days when the keepers of the house should tremble, and the strong men should bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. And all those that look out the windows be dark, and many are optimists, all right? Your hope for a better future is going to be totally just decimated. And it says, and the doors should be shut in the streets, but the signing of the grinding is low, all right? And the doors in the streets represents the jobs. Like we go out to the chief place of commerce. Look, man, when this society collapses, we ain't going to be out there. Troops are going to be out there. Ain't going to be no business going on. Not in, at least in certain parts of America, you may have business going on. But for the most part, this place is finished. And while the sign of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all of the daughters of music should be brought low. And this is why you got this crappy ass music, man. But anyway, Akim want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone that rule well, and salutations to the hopeful elect, those in the gospel broad, living up the standard of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And with that, Shalom and Abba Ball. Shalom to you, brothers. Shalom.
And continue on with the retail apocalypse. 1,700 jobs lost in closing of Ohio GM Motors. So let's check this one out.
A General Motors plant in Ohio is ending production. The last heavy crews rolling off the assembly line at GM's Lordstown, Ohio plant. After more than a half century making about 16 million vehicles, the factory is now closed, slashing about 1,700 jobs. The plant is the first of 5 North American factories GM plans to close by next year. Nintendo introducing its new virtual reality kit. The new VR kit is for the Nintendo Switch and is part of its Labo series of do-it-yourself cardboard sets. The main kit comes with 6 different accessories to build, including goggles, a blaster, and a camera. The kit costs about $80 and comes out next month, but there is also a smaller version for only $40.
All right. Well, anyhow, all right. That has nothing to do with the retail apocalypse, but the 1,700 jobs being lost in Ohio as GM closes shop, man. The grinding is ceasing for Babylon the Great. Continuing on with the global financial collapse, this is another thing that's going on. This is Hawaii. I think it's Hawaii. Strikes back, calling U.S. law limiting its U.S. business unconstitutional. All right, this is more to do with the trade wars, which is what's causing all these retail apocalypse. Apocalyptic things are still concerning the global financial collapse, as these proxies are being fought, which are the financial wars between U.S. and China and Russia. All this is geared towards the mark of the beast.
According to a report by Reuters on Thursday, Chinese telecoms equipment maker Huawei Technologies sued the United States government, claiming a law limiting Huawei's U.S. business was unconstitutional. Huawei said it had filed a complaint in federal court in Texas challenging Section 889 of the National Defense Authorization Act, which bars federal agencies and their contractors from procuring Huawei's equipment and services. Reuters reported the lawsuit marks the latest confrontation between China and the United States, which intensified in the end of 2018 with the arrest of Huawei's chief financial officer in Canada at the U.S.'s request.
So, yeah, man, there's wars being fought on all fronts. And so, leading to a global financial collapse, which is what they want, so they can bring in the one world currency. As Aaron Russo had got it straight from Rothschild's mouth, they want a one world currency and a one world government. And so, all the other countries that are not in compliance with that are being taken down, or just quite simply put, are going with Russia, because it's a big showdown between Egypt versus Egypt. Russia versus Great Satan, which is another term for Babylon the Great. Yeah, man. It's everywhere. So here's more on Gomer, which was once an ally of Great Satan, but now is moving towards Russia, which Gomer we know very much so. That pretty much those occupying Gomer are Amalekites, part of the Khazarian Empire. So of course they're going with Russia, Magog.
It says that Ankara will not cancel a deal that it struck with Russia to buy S-400 missile systems despite Washington's pressure.
We are independent Turkey. We are not slaves. Therefore, we take our steps in every field within our space of freedom. We took this step with Russia. It's signed and we made our S-400 deal under very convenient terms, and the delivery was moved forward to July. We will hopefully receive the first delivery in July.
President Erdogan added that his country may also look into buying S-500 systems from Moscow. The U.S. had asked Turkey not to buy the missile systems, warning that the move could jeopardize Washington-Ankara defense agreements. The U.S. State Department had also said the country might reconsider giving Turkey access to F-35 fighter jets if it buys the Russian systems. Turkey argues it needs alternative missile defenses to counter what it calls regional threats.
Yeah, man, because they know that Iraq was taken out, Syria's been taken out, and hey, man, they were all plundering. I just saw a recent movie called Backstabbing for Beginners. It's available for rent through, you know, various sources, but either way, though, it's worth watching because it shows you how, you know, the food program in Iraq, everybody was making money off of that, and it's one of those biography type movies, you know, with acting, of course, in it, but just goes to show you, man, you know, these so-called UN peacekeepers, man, you know, pretty much they want a one-world government and a one-world currency, and that's what's happening. So these, what Esau likes to call third-world countries, are taking proverbs against great Satan, Babylon the Great. And here's another one. You know, Persia says that they will no longer talk with great Satan until it joins the Iran nuclear deal. Until it rejoins it, because they had a deal and the deal was broken. And that was done on purpose. Because, of course, you know, you got Amalek, Israeli state, now bringing in the THAAD missile system because they plan to continue to attack Syria and Iran. Of course. You know, like everything else, though, just watching things closely.
Iran's President Hassan Rouhani says the Islamic Republic is playing a key role in providing security for the Middle East.
For the first time in history, Iran is one of the three main decision makers for the regional security, especially in Syria. Astana peace talks and meeting between Iran, Russia and Turkey are the main axes for resolving the crisis in the Middle East. This is an achievement for us.
Hassan Rouhani said Iran cannot be indifferent to crisis in neighboring countries and has made great achievements in fighting terrorism. He said that Daesh would have taken control of Baghdad and Erbil if it wasn't for Iran. The president also touched upon U.S. sanctions against the Islamic Republic.
We are under U.S. sanctions today, but we should keep in our mind that this is the first time since the 1979 Islamic Revolution that only the U.S. and few of its allies are advocating embargoes, and the majority of countries are against them. Even U.S. allies like Europe are opposed to unilateral measures.
Rouhani called such a global stance a victory for Iranians. He said Iran's relations with other countries are based on common interests and mutual respect. The president said the U.S. has failed to achieve its objectives despite harsh economic measures. Rouhani added that the U.S. president requested 8 times for a meeting during his 2017 trip to New York. He said the U.S. also made similar requests through several world leaders during his next trip to attend the UN General Assembly. The Iranian president said that he rejected the offers and told the U.S. to first rejoin the 2015 nuclear deal before any negotiations could take place between the two countries.
And that's just it, though, is, of course, the U.S. wanted to use Iraq against Iran. They've done this for 8 years, the Iran-Iraq war. And, you know, all the rhetoric about, you know, the wall and, you know, stopping illegals from coming in, but in actuality, the homeless in L.A., they actually want to go to Venezuela. So there's a twist of things going on.
So why'd you go to Venezuela when he has all this here? This is America, the first world country, the richest country in the world, where all these people, it's on the streets, looking in the trash for food. You don't have to go to Venezuela. You have it here. This is the great America.
Yeah, great Satan. And that's just it, though. You know, you don't have to go to Venezuela. You have it here in America. And that's what our people fail to understand, that this same devil will do the same here as they do to other countries. It's already happening. Look at Keswick or Paradise, man. It doesn't look much different from Syria. these same bastards will do it, you know, because of course Esau's been a bastard. Shalom. So now looking at some biblical verses here concerning Esau Edom, man. I just happened to find this while I was looking for some things, and here are 13 Bible verses towards Esau Edom. Numbers chapter 24, verses 18 through 19. Edom shall be a possession. Seir, its enemies, also will be a possession, which Israel performs valiantly. One from Jacob shall have dominion, and will destroy the remnant from the city. And of course, you know, that's about to happen, and we're out there and we're proclaiming this on the streets. Oh, well, here's another one. You shall not detest an Edomite, for he is your brother. This is really out of context. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite. And it depends on what you do with the word abhor, because abhor means be afraid also. But that's not the way that a lot of people like to do it. They like to twist the scripture. It's, you shall not abhor an Edomite, for he is your brother, and you shall not detest an Egyptian, because you were an alien in his land. The sons of the third generation who are born to them may enter the assembly of the Most High. Well, again, you know, so you should not be afraid of the Edomites, because what can the Edomites do? You know, yeah, that's another way of looking at it. And some have also brought out that you should not abhor a Syrian, you know, so it just depends, you know, on how you take that verse. But nonetheless, though, Isaiah chapter 11 verse 14, they will swoop down on the slopes of the Philistines on the west together. They will plunder the sons of the east. They will possess Edom and Moab are the Chinese. And the sons of Ammon will be subject to them, you know, pretty much. And, let me blow this up here. Isaiah chapter 15 verses 1 through 9. The oracle concerning Moab, surely in a night of Moab is devastated and ruined. And look at these proxy wars that are going on between Moab and Edom. Surely in a night, Kir of Moab is devastated and ruined. They have gone up to the temple and to Dibon, even to the high places, to weep. Moab wails over Nebo and Medeba. Everyone's head is bald, and everyone's beard is cut off in the streets. They have girded themselves with sackcloth. On their housetops and in the squares, everyone is wailing, dissolved in tears. And that's definitely very true about the Moabites to this day. You know, they pretty much cut off all their hair and their beards. You know, I mean, if you, that's easy to tell who they are. You know, both Moab and Ammon. Isaiah chapter 16, verses 1 through 14. Send the tribute land to the ruler of the land from Selah by way of wilderness to the mountain of the daughter of Zion. They then, like fleeing birds of scattered nestings, the daughters of Moab will be at the forbs of Ammon. Give us advice, make a decision. Cast your shadow like night at high noon. Hide the outcast. Do not betray the fugitive. So again, you know, what's happening though is that a lot of these countries, here's one of my favorites. Jeremiah chapter 9 verses 25-26. Behold, the days are coming, declareth the Most High, that I will punish all who are circumcised and yet uncircumcised, Egypt and Judah and Edom and the sons of Ammon and Moab and all those inhabiting the desert, who clip their hair on their temples, for all nations are uncircumcised, and all the house of Israel are uncircumcised of heart. You know, so you can see that happening. I mean, look at all these bootleg camps that are being exposed, especially IUIC as of lately, you know, for the murder and just their wickedness in general. Jeremiah chapter 49. I'll actually click to read more because I love Jeremiah chapter 49. Concerning Edom, thus saith the Most High of Hosts, is there no longer any wisdom in Teman? Yeah, that's right, because, you know, they can't even fool the people anymore. Most people do not like fucking this government. Is there no longer any wisdom in Teman? Has good counsel been lost of the prudent? Has their wisdom decayed? Man, every day this fucking devil's being exposed for the crimes of Syria and Yemen, especially Yemen. I mean, look at fucking Yemen. Look at Iraq. Look at all these places that America has attacked. O inhabitants of Dedan, for I will bring the disaster of Esau upon him. At that time I will punish him. If grape gatherers came to you, would you not leave green gleanings? If thieves came by night, they would destroy only until they had enough. And you fucking devils, man, you didn't leave any spoils behind, man. You took everything, and that's what you do. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his hiding places. That's right. You Edomites are being exposed everywhere. You're not the real Jews. You're not any of the other nations, even though you like to call yourself Greek or Italian or French or German. Oh, you're just goddamn fucking red Hebrew Edomites. That's who you are. So he may not be able to conceal himself. You can't hide behind that anymore. Oh, I'm British. I'm Australian. You can't do that anymore. His offspring has been destroyed along with the relatives and his neighbors, and he is no more. All these fucking nations are sick of you fucking devils. Leave your orphans behind. I will keep them alive, and let your widows trust in me. For thus saith the Most High, Behold, those who are not sentenced to drink the cup will certainly drink it, and you, the one, will be completely acquitted. You will not be acquitted. Yeah, that's right. You're going to be punished for everything you've done. For right now, it looks like you've been acquitted. You find yourselves not guilty, but very soon you will be punished by nuclear fire. But you will certainly drink it. For I have sworn by myself, declareth the Most High, that Basra, which is another term for America, will become an object of horror, a reproach, a ruin, and a curse, and all its cities will become perpetual ruins. And that's happening now, but even on a larger scale when this nuclear destruction destroys Esau, Edom. So I've read a lot of joyful scriptures. These are what we're looking forward to. When car fire came and destroyed the neighboring areas, and knowing that pretty much, I seen all that, but, nobody knocked on my door and everything. I could see that this judgment was for the wicked, And so that's, a good thing to know that, I'm seeing the destruction of my enemies, and I can bewail at them, man. I can actually say, you motherfuckers deserve it. You do deserve all this. I said this before when they created ISIS, which is another proxy of the United States, that, you don't want the Syrian refugees to come over to America. You don't want them to come to the nest that you created. You don't want it to come home to roost. But, has Russia, done anything? Why isn't there Russian intervention over here? Why has Russia not done bombings, considering that America gasses its own people via the chemtrails? Why aren't there intervention there? You deserve ISIS. You deserve to have Russian intervention over here. Well, that's going to happen by way of thermonuclear war. And we hasten that day. We can't wait, because we hate this fucking place. And like everything else, I'm just going to let this video play in its entirety. This is about the U.S. doubling down on Venezuela regime change. Because that's all that America is about. Their deceptions, their failed provocations, just like they've been doing with Iraq and Syria and everywhere else. They're looking for regime change in Venezuela. But guess what? It's not going to work, because just like Russia intercepted with Crimea, same thing's going to happen in Venezuela. And that's just it. Esau's losing in every way possible, because you got Egyptian versus Egyptian.
Breaking news alerts in regard to Venezuela that I thought were very important to share. And I was actually waiting for this story to develop, or trying to, so I apologize about the graphic, but this is my direct breaking news information that I'm getting on my multiple locations, coming from Associated Press and Reuters and different stuff. But this is a breaking news alert, and there will be stories coming up about this, but they put these breaking news alerts out first, and then you'll see them populate throughout the mainstream media. But breaking news, as of before I went live on this show, White House advisor John Bolton threatens foreign financial institutions with sanctions if they are involved with, quote, illegitimate transactions benefiting Venezuela's Maduro and his network. So basically, anyone actually trying to work with the Venezuelan government to stop the problem the U.S. sanctions are causing for the Venezuelan people will now also be sanctioned and potentially face fines and jail time, which is exactly the point I've made in the past about what the U.S. has roundly done in regard to these sanctions in the past, as well as controlling the economic field where they tell other countries, no, you cannot economically help Venezuela or we will put you in jail and fine you. And that's why their economy is suffering. So now Bolton is yet again saying, yep, here we come with more sanctions and we're going to be sanctioning anyone who works with them. Now, clearly the U.S. is moving forward with its campaign to control Venezuela at the expense of its average citizens. And it has been roundly proven that sanctions are literally designed to hurt the civilian population in order to drive them against their leaders. This is in the U.S.'s own documentation. They just don't think you're smart enough to look for it. Now, as former UN expert Alfred de Zayas said, sanctions are comparable to a medieval siege on a town. Well, let's take a look at the consequence of carrying out such an intentionally catastrophic siege. Here's something that was taking place in Fox just before I went live as well. Oh, look at this. Department of Homeland Security boss drops another border bombshell. Warns a migrant situation spiraling out of control. Perfectly timed, I might add, with all the border discussion and the wall. And of course, so incredibly important. And of course, the line, the headline, which right off the bat it's interesting. The headline is meant to mislead very clearly and is really fake news if you ask me, but this is what mainstream media does. I hope you know this by now. What was actually said is that Customs and Border Protection is on track over this entire period to apprehend almost 1 million illegal immigrants at the border this year. But the title clearly says 1 million on its way. And if you all know watching the show how many people, probably the majority, read headlines and move on. I call them title skimmers. That's what most people are today. Sadly, that's part of the propaganda. That's the social engineering we're part of today, the Snapchat world that we live in. But the reality is most people don't. They'll be, oh my God, did you see Fox News? 1 million people are on the way. This is what they want them to incorrectly glean from that. Now, right this moment, or rather, I mean, before I went live, I mean, she's not speaking on live TV this moment, or maybe she is, but before I went live, I should say, we have Homeland Security Secretary Christian Nielsen warning of the migration crisis on the southern border, telling a House committee that illegal immigration is, quote, spiraling out of control and predicting that crisis will only, quote, get even worse in the coming months. She said they saw a 30% jump over the previous month, with agents apprehending or encountering nearly 75,000 aliens, she says. Interestingly, doesn't say illegal aliens, and I wonder if that might be a way that they're fudging these numbers a bit, because there's a big difference between the illegal aliens trying to force their way through and just the aliens that are legally coming through the border. But that just may have been a slip of the tongue, but I felt that was important to point out. Now, Nielsen told the House Committee on Homeland Security about this entire topic. She said, quote, this is an 80% increase over the same time last year. Now, that's certainly concern-worthy. We should be talking about this and wondering why there are so many people that are coming across, or at least as they claim, trying to come across the border. And we should be questioning how many of them are trying to go through the proper channels and how many are simply trying to go through, how many of them do, jumping the fences or trying to break through, come through any other illegal way. But this topic, I don't want to get off on a tangent here, but the reality is this topic is important to a lot of people. You know my opinions. I've talked about it before. But we're talking about a massive influx of people coming towards the border. But sure, this has nothing to do with the fact that the U.S. has been illegally meddling and destabilizing Latin America for decades. No. I'm sure that has nothing to do with it, and has increased its efforts dramatically in this area just over the last few years. Odd the correlation between the timing of increased U.S. efforts in South America and, of course, the increased migration. But I'm sure one has nothing to do with the other. I'll let you think about that for yourself. Now, I'm getting back to Venezuela, and it's all related. All of this is related. The border topic, Venezuela, South America, what the U.S. generally does in its foreign policy. But this is important specifically in regard to Venezuela. Thank you, Valdi, for the super chat. I appreciate it. I'll wait about a second to let it pop up on the screen. But this is an important article that I want to cover, that one shows you that there's a lot of people more than they want you to think, that does not agree with what the U.S. is doing, what the world community is doing in regard to Venezuela, or rather the ones on that side of it. But this article was about a massive amount, there it is, a massive amount of academics that have all gotten together and wrote a letter and signed it and sent it to the Trump administration about stopping what they're doing. An open letter to the Washington office on Latin America about its stance on U.S. effort to overthrow Venezuelan government. Now, I recommend that you read this in full. I'm not going to read you the whole letter. It's not incredibly long, but too long to read in one sitting, at least for this show. So I recommend you read this from top to bottom, because this is coming from a lot of very prominent, well-respected people. Just, I mean, at the very least, this should show you that not everyone agrees with what they're trying to tell you that everyone agrees with. Right? If you don't agree with what's going on here, you're an evil dictator-supporting maniac, right? Oh, you're a Maduro apologist. I'm sure that's popping up somewhere, as we've seen it after Iraq, we've seen it in Assad, in Syria. You're always an apologist if you care about human life and not U.S. foreign policy interests. But this letter is important. It's been signed by 124 academics from all around the globe. It's addressed to the Washington Office for Latin America and voices serious concerns for WOLA's, I guess, support the Washington Office on Latin America for various components of the Trump administration's policy towards Venezuela. We have academics from all kinds of renowned MIT, Duke, Berkeley, Dartmouth, and all over the world. And as I said in the last show, the U.S. does not have the support that it projects in this endeavor, in this illegal attempt to overthrow a democratic nation. Good, bad, or otherwise, it is verifiably democratic. I mean, the propaganda, since this has begun, has a lot of people reeling on the other side of this topic, but we've got the hundreds of election monitors. We have Jimmy Carter from the recent past saying, this is a Democrat. It may not be a good one. The United States isn't a good one either. We're struggling, but it's definitely a verifiably a democratic nation. Now, as opposed to, let's say, unilaterally declaring an unknown man as president and having him swear himself in, and then ignoring the very article of the Constitution that was cited to name him president. It's quite a different scenario. And on that same topic, here's a couple of great tweets from Daniel McAdams from the Ron Paul Institute that I thought were well worth pointing out. A lot of good tweets today to talk about. He says, what is the constitutional basis for this his interim presidency? As he's referring to a tweet from Marco Rubio that says, in order to undermine the constitutional basis for Guaido, his interim presidency, Putin, Russia repeatedly describe him as a self-proclaimed president, which is exactly what he is. He literally swore himself in. It's just funny how they quibble over these small parts. But Daniel McAdams says, what is the constitutional basis for his interim presidency? Oh, Article 233 provides only 30 days, which has passed. Can you explain it then? Of course he won't, but we've talked about this. Even Maduro pointed this out. Already within their own very flimsy legal justification, they've already lost it. Their 30 days is gone. They just don't care. That was only the foothold to get them through the door. The reality is this has nothing to do with what constitutionality or democracy. And of course, another great response from McAdams was in regard to what we just discussed in the last show. The State Department actually just tweeted out a tweet saying, Pompeo, Venezuela has welcomed back Guaido. Good to see Venezuelan security forces standing on the right side of history. The world must unite, push to end the brutal Maduro regime, and peacefully restore democracy. Oh, how kind of them. But of course, Daniel McAdams points out the obvious. A lie on its face by the State Department. The Venezuelan security forces did not stand down in violation of the government, but on orders from the government. Allowing Guaido in was not a military defection, but rather another example of how the military remains loyal. Lies. And they are absolute, obvious lies. This is what we talked about in the very last show we did. The reality that they were going to use what happened with Guaido, whichever way it went. And clearly this is the point they were trying to make because their effort failed. Which is that because he got in, it shows that Maduro is failing. It just shows you his resolve and his ability to not react to their ridiculous efforts. He just said, just let him in. As the Moon of Alabama pointed out, let him bounce around wherever he wants until this all this all kind of fizzles out. Unless they decide to push in for some kind of military operation, which is what I kind of think we're seeing coming, which is alarming.
Lisa Cabrera channel, which I think I've subscribed to her before, but Brother Malcolm gets a lot of information from her. So this is about the trade deficits, which is what's causing the financial collapse, and that's a good thing. These retailers plunging and all that. Yeah, you're going to feel it a little bit, because, of course, you enjoy going to some of these retailers, but it's all a part of watching our enemies bewail, and we will bewail our enemies. This is a great day, coming, that we're almost done with this fucking place, and soon we're going to see the death of our enemy.
This is an article that came out March 6, 2019 in Slate. Many are calling Trump's trade war a failure. Since he started this trade war, the deficit has surged up to a 10-year high. So it's causing more harm than good. But let's get into this article, y'all. So far, Donald Trump's trade war is an utter failure. Donald Trump has waged a trade war unlike any other United States, anybody that was president. Nobody has ever done this before. And, after watching Trump, you can see why they don't do it. He's causing more harm than good. So, all right, so nobody has ever done this as president since the 1930s, upsetting our global allies and panicking markets, as Trump has with slapping everybody with these tariffs, especially China. He's slapped, I would say, countless tariffs on them in steel and other Chinese products. And by just about any measure you pick, his efforts appears to have been an absolute flop. Consider the trade deficit, which Trump has promised to shrink. It has increased, y'all. On Thursday, the Commerce Department reported that it actually grew by $68.8 billion in 2018, reaching $621 billion as imports continue to outpace exports. So he's made it worse. In December, the monthly gap hit a 10-year high. The timing of the announcement was almost poetic. It came just over a year after Trump tweeted that trade wars are good and easy to win. And he is learning they are not. I thought the people that elected Trump said he was a good businessman. He was a businessman. That's why he would be a good president. That's not panning out at all. Because the president is obsessed with manufacturing jobs, the White House liked to focus on the trade deficit in goods alone, ignoring the contributions of services like finance and education. But on that score, its performance looked even worse. The goods gap soared to an all-time high of $891.3 billion last year. It grew with China. It grew with Mexico. It grew with Canada. So not only did Trump explode the trade deficit, he also made it worse for other countries and increased their deficits too. Wow. Like Wile E. Coyote with a box of Acme dynamite, Trump has tried to blow up the global trade order and instead came out looking like a used matchstick. Hey, y'all, Trump has a high IQ, and so does all of his supporters. Anybody in a MAGA hat got a high IQ, y'all. And you know, when I say high IQ, I don't mean anything good. Why is the trade deficit widening? Part of the story likely has to do with the federal budget deficit, which has surged thanks to the tax cuts Republicans passed in 2017. Oh my God, they're putting the country in all. Man, everything these people touch turns to dirt. It turns to dirt. Oh my God. The Republicans actually made things worse, and so did Trump. They added on more debt. As the old saying goes, trade deficits occur when countries spend more than they produce. So, all else equal, when the government borrows money from overseas to finance its red ink, you can expect Americans to buy more imports. Higher deficits can also lead to higher interest rates, which push up the value of the dollar and hurt the competitiveness of American exports. When the tax bill passed, many economists predict that it would exacerbate the trade gap and undermine Trump's central economic promise to blue-collar voters. In other words, we're witnessing an entire foreseeable own goal. The more you drill down into the stats, the more embarrassing they seem for Trump. Trump is a businessman, y'all. He's a businessman with a high IQ. He said it himself. He said his IQ is very high, and he was very intelligent, and he was a good student. And his people run around every day all over this country talking about their high IQ. Every day. Every day, they want to come to our comment section and talk about their high IQ. Trump is a good example of that high IQ. Remember, this man represents the whole country. The whole thing. Take the results of our tit-for-tat tariff skirmish with China, which the White House has hoped would force Beijing to negotiate better trade terms. The White House placed levies on $250 billion of Chinese goods. China responded with tariffs in $110 billion of Americans' goods, including politically sensitive commodities like soybeans. This is why the farmers were suffering, because they could not move their soybeans and they ultimately lost everything. These are the high IQ farmers, y'all, not the black farmers, the high IQ farmers. They're the ones that I did videos on the stories. They lost everything because of this trade war that was going on that Trump kicked off. So the White House placed levies of $250 billion of Chinese goods in China. The result, our imports from the People's Republic rose last year and our exports to it fell. So America, behind this trade war, lost billions of dollars, y'all. This happened in part because China allowed its currency to depreciate against the dollar, which canceled out some of the impact of Trump's tariffs. Another entirely predictable outcome. So China got hit, but not quite as bad because they knew what to do. And apparently Trump don't. Meanwhile, the administration has been forced to spend billions bailing out farmers. These are farmers, ladies and gentlemen, that lost their entire crop or grew soybeans and they ended up losing everything because of the trade war. They couldn't trade those soybeans with China. So look like Trump's trade war is a lose-win situation. The win for China, the lose for the U.S. As the data has streamed in, economists have begun to conclude that the trade war is also weighing on the broader U.S. economy. The harm is not large, but it is notable. One study by researchers at the Federal Reserve and Columbia University concluded that each month the tariffs cost Americans $3 billion in extra taxes and $1.4 billion in lost economic efficiency. Trump's trade war was a bust, y'all. And you know what? To add insult to injury, just a few days ago, he slapped more tariffs on China. The other by a team including World Bank chief economist Penelope Goldberg estimates that the U.S. economy took a $7.8 billion loss in 2018. Companies and consumers face almost $69 billion in higher costs from the tariffs. So his tariffs are actually forcing American people to spend more money. Yes, that high IQ is shining through, y'all. Is shining through. But those were canceled out by some tariff revenues and the fact that domestic companies were able to raise their own prices. So we are paying higher prices because of Trump's trade war. Y'all. The two papers also undercut one of Trump's favorite talking points on trade. The president frequently likes to say that tariffs are taxes on countries that sell goods to the U.S. His critics usually retort that, no, they're actually taxes on American businesses and consumers. In theory, either could turn out to be true. U.S. companies might have chosen to pay the tariffs themselves and pass the expense on to their customers. So no matter what, we gonna pay more money, y'all. Or they might have demanded that Chinese suppliers or foreign steel factories lower their prices, forcing them to effectively bear the burden of the levies. In practice, it turns out that Trump was wrong and his critics were right. Both research teams found that American businesses paid the full cost of the tariffs and likely charged consumers more as a result, just like the naysayers expected. This man makes a mess out of everything. Why don't you Trump supporters read up on what happened with his casino in New Jersey that he closed in 2016, just before his campaign. Go see what a good businessman he was. You know, the problem with these people, they just get so worked up over what Trump says, but they don't go research what kind of businessman he is. Why don't you look at the lawsuits on Trump up in New York? Trump has been slapped with many lawsuits. Go look at how he ran the University of Trump. And that doesn't even come out of his mouth anymore. Go look at what a mess he made of that, and people sued to get their money back. He didn't deliver on Trump University, and he tried to keep everybody's money. And the state of New York had to get involved over the Trump University. I'm just saying. We haven't exactly gotten the spectacular new trade deals Trump promised during his campaign either. The administration hoped that threatening our trade partners with tariffs would force them to negotiate new pacts that gave the U.S. a leg up in global commerce. Well, it's done the opposite. But the results have been underwhelming. The new and sort of improved NAFTA makes some important changes around the edges of the agreement, including key ones to international dispute settlement, but is widely regarded as little more than a rebranding effort. This is definitely the snake oil salesman here that we got in the White House, y'all. Definitely that. The agreement shaping up between China and the U.S. is looking like even more of a disappointment. In return for lowering tariffs, China would buy more U.S. agriculture goods and lower some barriers that keep U.S. companies from operating there. It would do nothing regarding issues like intellectual property theft that are much of greater concern to U.S. corporations. Trump started an unprecedented trade war, and all we're going to get are some lousy soybean sales. He made a mess of things, y'all. He made a mess in North Korea. He's made a mess on this trade war, this alleged trade war. He must have declared this trade war on the American people because we're paying more for it than anyone else. This is what, you know, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say this. This came out of the mind of a high IQ person. And look at how it turned out. That's all I have to say. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell. And I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.
And I'll just let this video play because this is going to go into some more scriptures, you know, from what I read, and then just more concerning Esau and Edom. They shall fall by the sword, and we're going to love it. You know, so I just let this brother take it from here. For all that, I hope that these videos have been edifying. Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Brakatam. And death to America, death to you 2/3. This place is just about finished.
Basically, just do what the hell you want to do, man. And this is what women and this is what this world promotes our people to do. And that is the wrong spirit, right? Now, just need to be clinging to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua because what's coming to the earth, okay, there ain't going to be nothing nice. And what are you women going to do when you have no defense? Nobody's going to help you in that day, man. All of these pussy begging niggas who are on YouTube and Facebook, good morning, my queens. You know what real men need to do. They're gonna be the first to be wiped out. Weak ass niggas like that, man. Who see no wrong with the way things are going.
All right, I'd like to start off by saying Barak Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Chakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Thy Men Shall Fall by the Sword. That's off of the scripture in Isaiah 3, which you're going to get. And pretty much I started watching Elder Apostle Tar's video. He did a response to this video that Elder Yashawamba did. And as I started listening to Elder Apostle Tar's video, he mentioned this video, which I saw the avatar for this one, but there's so many videos I didn't click on this particular one. So I went and I watched this one, you know, and towards around the 35th minute marker of the video, Elder Yashawamba said something, as you heard him say, that, you know, these weak ass, you know, pretty much these weak ass clowns on YouTube that's saying my queen this and my queen that, they're going to be the first ones to get put to death. So on my way back to the house, you know, that scripture came into my mind, which we're going to read. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to do like a little response just based off of that statement that the elder made, because it's true. You know, you're going to have a lot of these Israelite men out here that call themselves Israelite men that's going to die soon out here in these streets, whether it be a famine, whether it be shot in the street, whether it be in concentration camps, whether it be dealing with these police, these riot police, the FEMA troops, or whatever the case may be, you know. So we're just going to get into it real quick, and then I'll close the lesson. This is 2 Ezra 16 and 27 says, so that one man shall desire to see another and to hear his voice. For of a city there shall be 10 left, and 2 of the field, which shall hide themselves in the thick groves and in the clefts of the rocks. Because when this situation, when the shit hits the fan, SHTF, when the shit hits the fan, there's not going to be people hanging out in the streets, you know, chilling in their crib, you know, like they do now. There ain't going to be nobody, you know, talking shit, you know, women parading their funky ass up and down the street. These effeminate men parading their funky ass up and down the street. Ain't going to be none of that shit, you know, because this place is about to be on lockdown. The Most High is about to use his sword, which his sword is Esau, to start bringing judgment upon you Israelites out here, because you refuse to turn back to the Lord, and you refuse to listen to the words of Yahweh Shem Shai. And ultimately, it's the vengeance of the Lord anyway. It says, as in an orchard of olives, upon every tree there are left 3 or 4 olives, or as when the vineyard is gathered, there are left some clusters of them that diligently seek through the vineyard. Even so in those days there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword. Yeah, because it's not going to be, people are going to be hiding in those days, because the wicked Esau is going to show his horns. And what does it say? When the wicked bear rule, the people hide themselves, and the people mourn and they hide themselves. It says, and the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and her ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, because no man shall travel there through. It says, the virgins shall mourn, this is the point, having no bridegroom. So now why are the virgins going to mourn having no bridegroom? And the women shall mourn having no husbands, their daughters shall mourn having no helpers. Why is this going to be? It says, in the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. So this is the judgment of the Lord that's coming, you know, and it's coming fast, and it's coming swift. And the thing about it now, you know, since nobody's really joining the military that much anymore, there's going to be a draft. And when there's a draft, not only men are going to be drafted, but also women. And brothers have brought out articles dealing with that. You know, and in these wars, a lot of these Jake men, Israelite men, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians are going to die in these wars, man. They're going to die over there in Armageddon. They're going to die over here in the streets of America, you know, and that's going to give rise to making precious the men of the Lord. This is Isaiah chapter 3. I'm going to read the 16th verse and jump around. Moreover, the Lord saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, meaning they're proud. And you see the pride of these women beaming, You know, like you look at a woman, like back in the days, you look at a woman, she might like you, she might look back at you, you know. Now, if you look at a woman, she looking at you like, what you looking like? She gonna whoop your ass, you know, hardy and stank, you know. It says, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, because they're undisciplined. They'll be with a man and they'll be checking out another man. Walking and mincing as they go, you know, all provocative and making a tinkling with their feet. They used to wear their little bells and stuff around their feet, little, you know, different little trinkets, you know, to allure men pretty much. It says, I'm going to just jump down. It says, and it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be stink. You know what that's talking about. And instead of a girdle of rent, and instead of well set hair, baldness, and instead of a stomach, a girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. But this is the point. Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war, because these wars are coming. Jacob's trouble is coming. You know, World War III is coming. You know, so in the midst of all this stuff, you know, there's going to be men that are going to be out there in the front lines, you know, of Esau's military. They're going to be getting slain by the riot police, FEMA troops. It says, and her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. And when all this stuff begins to happen, this is when this will take place. Isaiah 13 and 12. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. And who is that talking about? It's talking about the men of the Lord, because they're going to shine. They're going to stand out. They're going to be protected. They're not going to be touched by any of this. While all these other simple-minded, bird-brained clowns, these pussy-begging simps, you know, out here are going to be dying in these wars, and they're going to be dying of famine and starvation, you know, and all this other stuff. The men of the Lord are going to be made precious. And when the men of the Lord are made precious, guess what's going to happen? These women are going to flock to them. You know, these women are going to flock to them. Let's go to Isaiah 32 and 2. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind. What is the wind? Ultimately the destruction. But before the destruction, all this other stuff that's going to take place, you know, dealing with the martial law and the mark of the beast, which is a microchip, and everything that's going to be taking place in this society prior to Yahushua coming back. So it says, and a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest. And all of this represents the destruction, but there's a lot of things that are going to be leading up to the destruction that a lot of these women are going to get caught up in. And this is why, as you read on down, it says, rise up, ye women that are at ease. Because if you don't have a man of the Lord in that day, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be looking to be protected. A lot of you are going to die, you know, like the scriptures say, that shall be trodden with the mire of the street. But some of these women out here, they're going to be looking for a man of the Lord to hide behind. All right. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as a shadow of a great rock in a weary land. So we're going to be, you know, Lord's will, we be those men. We're going to be like when you're in the desert and you finally find some water, you know, or you find some this big stone or something that gives you shade, you know, and you're cooled off from that intense heat. Well, that's how the men of the Lord are going to be to these women. They're going to be like it says, a place of hiding from the wind, a covert from the tempest, rivers of water in a dry place, and a shadow of a great rock in a weary land. And this at this time here is when this scripture will be fulfilled, Isaiah 4:1. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man. Why? Because when you go to the chapter before this, it says that the young men are going to be dying in the mighty in the war. As it says here, thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war. So in the midst of all of that going on, that's when the men of the Lord are going to shine. And that's when these women are going to be looking for men of the Lord, because the man of the Lord in these days is going to be as a precious, it's going to be a precious commodity, you know, a precious, like precious stones and gold, like the finest gold, not just gold, just the finest gold and the most polished, you know. And you know, when gold is you got the finest gold and it's real polished, you start shining. So the men of the Lord are going to be shining. You know, they're going to be protected. They're going to be taken care of, you know. So it says, and in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man. Then all that pride, all that haughtiness, all that wantonness is going to go out the window. They're going to get where it ain't going to matter what a brother looks like. They're just going, just as long as you're a man of the Lord, that's what they're going to want to get with. You know, now they want them simps, you know, them lined up, you know, or smooth face, you know, pretty boys and all that. But in that day, they're going to be looking for a strong Israelite man of the Lord of Yahweh Bashem Al Shai to protect them, you know, and they're not going to be picky. So it says, and in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Then they're going to want to cook and clean, and they're going to want to take care of themselves, because now the consensus is that if you meet a woman and y'all getting to know each other, and the man and the woman go out, the man got to pay for everything. But wait a minute, I thought we getting to know each other. You know, I believe it was even Tom Likers that said that. If we getting to know each other, or maybe somebody else, if we getting to know each other, why does a man have to pay everything? Why don't you go Dutch? Why doesn't the woman pay half and the man pay half, or the woman pay for her lunch, dinner, whatever, and the man pay for his? Just begin to know each other, but no, it all falls on the man. But in that day, they're going to want to take care of everything. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach, because these women are going to be shamed in these streets, you know, because you're going to be out there in the streets and you don't know what's going to happen. These women have no survival skills. These women a lot of these women don't know how to cook. You know, a lot of these women don't know nothing more than the Chinese store at the corner, you know, some Popeyes or Kentucky Fried or KFC, should I say, you know, and McDonald's and stuff like that. The TV dinners, hot dogs, you just pop them in the microwave, and they don't know how to really cook. You know, they don't know how to survive. So they're going to be looking for someone to take away their shame, their reproach, and hide them from this onslaught that's going to be coming from the Lord's sword, which is Esau. It says, in that day shall the branch of the Lord be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel. You know, and this is going to be the beginning of the kingdom of heaven, you know. But prior to that, you know, when all hell breaks loose, the Lord is going to magnify his men, and these women are going to come flocking, you know, and a lot of them are going to die. You know, some of these women that brothers have dealt with that did them dirty, you know, that took their children from them and all that, they're going to die. They're going to die in these wars, you know, some of them. Some of them the Lord, you know, will pardon, you know, because the Lord is merciful. And we did it to the Lord, you know, so the Lord showed us how it felt like for these women to do it to us, you know. So in that day, man, there's going to be women chasing down brothers left and right. You know, brothers are not going to have a want for women. You know, matter of fact, brothers might have their mind on something else, might not even want to deal with these women for the time being, you know, until you know, later on. Because of the mindset is going to be, the men of the Lord are going to be in a serious mindset of watching what's going on and waiting for the Lord to come back so we could take vengeance on these devils, man. You know, sex might be the last thing on brothers' minds in that day, you know, because things are going to be so intense. You know, so these women, they're going to get themselves in order. They're going to learn their place. They're going to get back in order. And it's not going to take a year. It's not going to take 6 months. It's not even going to take a week. These women get in order overnight when all hell breaks loose. You know, as soon as something pop off, the women start screaming and hollering and hooping and crying, you know. So they're going to get in order right away. And especially they see a strong man, you know, that nothing is touching him, you know, that he's just standing there in the midst of all this adversity, and he's just grinning and bearing it and laughing, you know, and having a good time about it. They're going to really be intrigued about that. They're going to really flock to that, you know. So that's coming, you know, that's coming. So I just wanted to, you know, mention that, you know, watching this video, and like I said, about the 35th minute in, I'll let you hear it again.
Hell you want to do, man. And this is what women, and this is what this world promotes our people to do, and that is the wrong spirit. Right now, our people need to be clinging to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, because what's coming to the earth, okay, there ain't going to be nothing nice. And what are you women going to do when you have no defense? Everybody knows.
That's right. What are you women going to do when you have no defense? Well, I'm going to show you what you're going to do. Micah chapter 7 and verse 10. Then she that is mine enemy shall see it. See what? See the Lord magnify the men of the Lord. See the things that the men of the Lord have been speaking about, these different prophecies coming to pass. It says, and shame shall cover her which said unto me, where is the Lord thy power? Yeah, because you weak, you know, you what you gonna do when you don't see no chariots coming? You know, they're gonna be talking all kind of shit, and then that day they're gonna be apologizing, they're gonna be throwing up on themselves, shitting on themselves. You know, I'm being a little extreme with it, you know, but you know, it's gonna be, they're gonna be terrified, you know. And it says, and shame shall cover her. That's why it said in Isaiah 4:1, and that they may take away our reproach, or to take away their shame. Because women don't naturally have the defense that men have. It says, mine eyes shall behold her, now shall she be trodden down as the mire of the streets. So a lot of these women are going to be trodden down as the mire of the streets. They're going to be dead with their ass up in the air. You know? So you're going to, it ain't going to help. Nothing that you do will help you. Except if you be one of the women that's elected to be saved, and the Lord will pair you up with a man of the Lord in that day.
Nobody's gonna help you in that day, man. All of these pussy begging niggas who are on YouTube and Facebook, good morning, my queens. You know what real men need to do. They're gonna be the first to be wiped out.
That's right.
Weak ass niggas like that, man. who see no wrong with the way things are going. Okay, they're gonna, and then everybody else is tired of you. So what are you gonna do for you proud ass women out there? No, everybody's tired of that vibe, man. You know, everybody's tired of it. It's played out, man. So you gonna be through. Okay, Stockton and Malone are gonna lose. All right, to Michael, man.